Hey, what's up, y'all? It's Chris back with another video. It's been a while since I did one, but I'm going to jump directly into this because it's one of the more compelling discussions that I think we can have in the sneaker industry or in any industry as it relates to reaching the consumer. Tracksmith. Have you heard of Tracksmith? I've written several articles about the brand, especially when I discovered them during a world championship. Actually, when Crevant Charleston upset the field in the 100 meter. And I wrote that article, and I had never known what the little bunny was, but I had seen the sash. So if you're looking next to me and you see the sash on the shirts, the apparel, and the shoes, Tracksmith, they are a blend between J. Crew, varsity wear, classic track and field. They are very supportive of the running communities around the Boston and New England area. They're a really classy running company. But does that equate to sales? Now, we can go in and start digging and looking up information, but what I want to talk about is how authentic a brand is and the opportunity certain brands have. Like if I look at a Hoka, and not to infringe on a conversation of Tracksmith, but Tracksmith has a shoe. If I click on this shoe and I go to it, it's a $198 shoe. Now it's a running shoe, but it is clearly a casual shoe, although it is a performance model. But you can see that the intent here is to give the runner something they can wear outside of actually putting the miles in. That doesn't mean you can't put the miles in the shoe at all. But these are gorgeous running shoes. But this is not going to be at the front of mind when a runner decides to start taking on miles. Now, I hate to pause so much, but I love what Tracksmith does. I think they're smart. But it's what they're doing in marketing. So I ran across this video. It's from like 8 days ago. And if you notice, Tracksmith only has about 9,000 subscribers. The video has only been viewed 2,600 plus times over the 8 days. But they have an NIL initiative. And NIL, named image likeness, they are investing. These are not high school athletes. They are investing in college athletes. But most running companies focus so heavily on distance events that they overlook jump events and sprint events, which is taking me off topic, and I don't want to get off topic. What I want you to do is to listen to what
sponsorship money. We wanted to provide them with a unique experience that would inspire them and help prepare them for the transition from collegiate to professional running.
Now, that really quick blurb from this video, it makes for one of the best marketing strategies I've seen out of any sneaker company in recent months as it relates to NIL. Typically, when we think about NIL, we think about a brand giving an athlete money. Let's say someone like Mikey Williams and Puma, which was kind of the original NIL deal. Mikey Williams is now at UCF. He's no longer with Puma because he got into some trouble. But again, deviating, Mikey's going to have an incredible year, and I don't know if I think Puma's going to regret not sticking with the kid. Now, that's off topic. Back to track and field. Track and field does not exist without sponsorship by the brands. It simply does not exist, especially in the US. But what Tracksmith did is they took a few of their NIL athletes and they took them to Paris and Europe, and they allowed them, and when you watch this video, they allowed them to, I'm going to keep this playing in the background and turn it down because I want you to watch this as it goes, but they took their athletes to Europe, and it's the experience of a lifetime. But here is where I wanted to get to. Who does this reach? Their core fans, the people who rock with Tracksmith, rock with them no matter what. This is solidifying that core. In marketing, do you solidify the core and focus solely on them and keep them invested with you? Or do you take those funds and attempt to create new categories for yourself? So with Tracksmith, they took these collegiate athletes to Paris for the Olympics. They got to experience the games. They were able to watch them. And then they actually took the athletes to events in Europe to give them a taste of what it's like to travel internationally. These athletes that they took over there have to become brand loyal and be with Tracksmith for life. However, the reality is, if those athletes begin to perform at a higher level, they will deviate away from Tracksmith and go to a Nike. So right here we have the sprinter. And once she gets ready to get into the blocks, you'll notice that Tracksmith did a very good job of not showing the shoes that the athletes are wearing. And that's because Tracksmith doesn't make track spikes. So how, and I want to make sure I'm not wrong in that, I'm going to go over here and type in spikes. And no, they got a canvas spike bag and they have a shoe bag. So Tracksmith does not have spikes. So they're not going to take care of the athlete from head to toe. Now they will have them in a kit, but the majority of the time when an athlete runs, they need the backing of a company. They need the spikes. And unless you have these athletes spatting and covering up the shoes, you'll notice that the Tracksmith athlete who's running 100 here is wearing Nike sprint spikes. And it's and she's running against pros. And the experience, I'm rambling a little bit, and I hate to do that, but it's one of these things where you see a company doing all of the right things, but then you recognize that in some instances, let's go to the session shorts. The college athletes that they're sponsoring can't even afford these session shorts. The product is expensive. How does a brand attract the customers, keep the customers that they have? Now, some of these tights are actually very well priced. The session short tights are, the session tee is a little bit expensive, but this is a different quality brand. In an amazing marketing partnership like this NIL, does it convert? If I wasn't talking about this video and you're in the sneaker industry, would you have even known that Tracksmith did this? Probably not. You're probably not following them. You're probably not subscribed. I saw a company last week, Q4 Sports, owned by Quentin Williams. He folded the company. You know, he had investors, he had NBA players wearing the gear. Simply having pros in your gear does not guarantee the success of your brand. Tracksmith understands that they're about the amateur. Placing those amateurs in the gear, yeah, I do. I think it does keep those amateurs with you and brings in new amateurs. But as you grow, if you don't have the product, you lose the opportunity to keep those athletes with you. And there's a danger in such an expensive trip, an extremely expensive trip. But to give athletes the opportunity of a lifetime to experience what it's like to be a professional, because our track and field athletes have to go to Europe to make a living. To give them that foundation is a beautiful thing, and it endears me towards Tracksmith. I look at the brand and I say to myself, you know what? I had no intention of buying anything, right? And now I'm going to the site and I'm looking at, tops, right? Tees, I see long sleeves, things that I could potentially wear, sweaters, base layers. I love this Van Cortlandt long sleeve. I'm considering Tracksmith because as a track and field coach, a track and field parent, to see a brand give young athletes this type of opportunity, it means a lot to me. So I guess I answered my own question. Does this work? It's what Tracksmith is doing. Does that have long-lasting ramifications? I guess we won't know for a long time, man, or we'll know in a couple of years, because running a sneaker company is extremely difficult. But to see what they've done here is extremely impressive, and it's a joy to actually talk about it. That's it. I'm going to wrap this up. So it's just a little bit different video, a little bit of a marketing slant and something to talk about and introduce you to if you haven't seen it. I'm going to put the link to the Tracksmith video in this description, and I hope you guys go and check it out. This is not an advertisement. I don't work with Tracksmith. I'm simply showing you what it looks like to have a true, authentic relationship with your consumer and to utilize your marketing to empower. It's a beautiful thing. I'll see you guys on the next one. Shout out Tracksmith for a great marketing strategy and event for those collegiate athletes. Peace, y'all.